Welcome to Bridging Gaps, the business podcast sharing the challenges and stories of fellow business owners.
Hello, I'm Deborah Levitt, your host. This week, I'm in conversation with Jennifer Hamley of Jenifer Hamley, England. Jen is a handbag designer and scarf designer, and she talks to me about her journey so far. She actually went through a really tough time over the summer to the point that she almost shut down her business. And she talks about why she didn't do that in the end, what led her to thinking that that might be the answer, and how she's embracing her new way forward and the change in mindset that is really driving her and her husband forward with their brand, with the handbags. It's a really fun conversation. There's lots of seriousness, but also just Jen's enthusiasm shines throughout. At the end of this interview, there's something a little bit different this time, which is a little snippet of an interview that I did with Jordan Bucknell of the Upbeat Agency. Jordan gives us some advice on what you can do if you've got a really low budget, but you still want to do some advertising in Facebook. So make sure you hang around for that little, it's just a couple of minutes, and I hope you enjoy both of them. So please join me now in welcoming Jen Hamley. Jen, how are you?
I'm very, very well, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me to chat to you.
Oh, you're very welcome, and I'm so pleased that we finally managed to get together. I know we've had a few challenges over the summer, but I've been really looking forward to, catching up with you generally, because it's been ages since we spoke, but also just finding out where you are and what's happening with the design business.
Yeah, there's been some ups and downs, and I think we reconnected while I was having a bit of a down moment. So, it's been exciting. The roller coaster has been in full force.
And I think that's something that most entrepreneurs will say is that it is a roller coaster, and that sometimes that roller coaster is moving very quickly. On one day, you can be up and down, and other times it levels out for a while.
It does. I guess that's the while you're going up. That's the level part. And then you could, you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh my God, what am I doing? And then you start your work and it's all up, and then you get, a new order and, a new contact, and then you go to an event and everything's up, and then I don't know, vulnerability sometimes hits in the night for no reason. You're just like, what am I doing again? So I think as long as we all understand that's how it's going to be and get comfortable with that uncomfortability of the downs and the ups then I think we'll all survive. That's my theory anyway.
Yeah, and I think it's getting used to the fact that it's not just you, mm-hmm. and that it's actually, this happens to everybody. And as you say, getting used to it and accepting that there'll be good times and there'll be bad times, and hopefully overall is going to be good, but you've got to weather some of the bad times as well.
Definitely. And I think sometimes when people say, you've hit rock bottom, it's the only way is up, and then 7 more bad things happen. And I think then you just like, if you don't have a network that do understand that and that can go, okay, you weren't at rock bottom, it was just a false bottom. It's like, there's still more down there. I think that's where a network of people that understand are very, very important.
So do you want to just tell me, and the listeners, obviously, a little bit about where it is, not where it is, what it is that you're doing now? So, I know it's all handbags and scarves, and it'd be great just to tell everybody what it is you're doing.
So my brand is Jennifer Hamley, England. I first started in 2015 on a definite high. I decided to close my old business down, which was another creative business. But I wanted to go into handbags. And around that time, I entered a sketch into a category at the Independent Handbag Designer Awards over in New York. And that design actually won 2 awards. So it won the category that it was in and went into production. And it also won the audience fan favorite for InStyle magazine, which InStyle over here is fairly big, but InStyle over in the States is a much bigger magazine. So that was a huge boost. And in a very, very short amount of time, I had to learn about manufacturing and all the import taxes, export and sales, and pre-sell as much as I could to get the order through minimum orders, all those things. So it's very quick learning curve, very exciting. And that was the boost really that started the brand up.
So that must have been absolutely amazing though, and so exciting to have just, step in and to suddenly get that recognition and to have things going into production. How did that feel so early on and so quickly?
It was amazing. I mean, I had run my last business where I was making accessories by myself. And what I wanted to do was grow the business, and handbags I've always loved. So I wanted to do that. And the last business was kind of dragging me into the wedding industry a little bit, which wasn't really where I wanted to be. I wanted to be more promoting women, confidence. And I think when you've got a great bag and a great outfit, you can really do that. So to get those awards so early on just felt like the universe to be quite woo-woo about it. It was like the universe was going, this is what you need to be doing. This is where you need to be. I mean, I was terrified of public speaking. I was suddenly on a stage in front of 400 people from the fashion industry. I was like, oh my God, what should I do? And I remember just before the award ceremony, I was like, if I win, I'm going to have to public speak. If I don't win, I'll be really sad. So I was like, okay, then I'll take on the public speaking to get the award. And so that was a lesson in itself of how to overcome things. It was like, well, what would you prefer? Would you prefer to do really well, or would you prefer, to go and hide in your comfort hole and not get on with these things? So yeah, I think it was so many lessons so very quickly, and that almost what would you say, kind of, yeah, the feeling that I was in the right place, right time, and that I was on the right path.
And was that, when you submitted that design, was that just after you'd finished the, because you went back to the London, we're both doing it today.
London?
London's College of Fashion.
We should call them and rename it London.
The universe of London.
The universe of London. We're calling for you. My previous business, I actually went to an event while I was still running it, because I was like, oh, how do I market it? How do I make it bigger? How do I, and I'd done the course at London College of Fashion because I was so interested in handbags, and I'd actually started making my own handbags for that brand. So I wanted more expertise on how they were structured and all those things. And so I went to this event that was about growth and marketing and mindset, and a lot of really fabulous people there. And I spoke to the trainer's daughter while I was there, and she was saying, oh, well, what's your big dream for life? And I said, well, I've just done this course in handbag design. So when this business really takes off, I'll be able to afford to start my own handbag line. And she just looked at me and just went, that sounds crazy. What are you waiting for? Why are you doing something you don't want to do to fund something that you really, really do want to do? She was like, have a think about it. And so I count that as like the question that actually moved me from one life path to another life path. And her name was Katie, and the bag that won the award is actually called the Model KT, and because I wanted to name it somehow after her. So it was designed in the beginning to be a unisex bag, so I didn't want to just call it Katie. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's the Model KT, and that's the story of that.
Oh, that's really, I didn't know that, because I knew about the Model KT, but I hadn't realized the background story of it. It's funny, isn't it? How just somebody asking you the right question or the right thing coming up can just change where you're heading.
Definitely. And you think you've obviously got all this background stuff going on in your subconscious mind, and that's all part of it, but it's that click. One day somebody will say something, or you'll see something, and you'll go, ha ha ha. And I've had a similar experience of that recently, which we can talk about in a short while.
Yes. So
yes.
Let's go back. Let's go quite a ways back then for the moment, because where you are now and what you're doing, isn't, as you said, necessarily what you started off to do. So you went to university, and then you decided that really you would just wanted to explore the world and to see, what was out there and available. So you were having a very, I guess, nomadic lifestyle and exploring an adventure before you even started that first business. And how did it feel moving into the first business, I suppose, having been, well, as you said before when we were talking, that you were spending about 6 months at a time in any particular place?
Yeah, so I studied furniture design at university, and when I left, it was the kind of course that taught you a lot of hands-on, how to design, how to make something, how to use all the tools, how to do beautiful dovetail joints and all these things. They taught you nothing about business or how to get a job. So I came out at the end going, well, I definitely need some time off because that was intense. So I thought I'll go. I love snowboarding. I love the mountains. So I was like, I'll go and do a snowboard season. Then at the end of that, I was like, oh, well, I want to do another snowboard season because I'm still not ready. So I went to work by the beach in the summer and then came back with another ski season, snowboard, whatever. Then the beach bum thing was like, oh, I'm getting a bit older now. So what I'll do is I'll find a better paid job. So I worked on luxury yachts for a couple of summers and then back to ski resorts, going into more luxury sort of things. And suddenly 10 years, 10 years had passed and I was back and forth doing all these things. And it was during the last 2 years of my traveling that I set up my last business, which was Head Full of Feathers. So the question was, what was it like doing that nomadically? It just felt natural because it was, people were coming to me and asking where these designs had come from and where they could buy one. And so my answer to that was, well, I'll make you one and I'll sell it to you. And then Etsy was just on the rise kind of then. So I set up an Etsy account and that kind of, it just happened naturally by itself. It grew quite organically. And it was only when the way that I was marketing that company through Etsy stopped working. So they changed their algorithm and it stopped working. So I started going to these business events and learning about marketing. And when I did some good marketing, my sales would go up, but I'd have to go and make everything myself. So then I'd stop marketing, so my sales would go down. So I was in this stop-start, money yes, money no, money yes, money no, which wasn't sustainable. And like I said earlier, it was because it's hair pieces and it's feathers and it's I was making sculptural things out of these feathers and so brides were very interested in it. They were big pieces as well. And then they would get a custom design done. And then they would come back to me and say, well, grandma thinks it's too big. And mum says we don't want to upset grandma on her big day. So I'd have to take it apart. And these are very delicate things and then do it again. I'd be on just like, and I had no idea about charging what I was worth per hour. So I was working probably for 50p an hour, plus, and paying all the materials, but going, hooray, they paid £150 and it took me 6 weeks to make. I feel like, oh my God. That's when I learned a lot about marketing and business and what things are worth and what you should pay yourself and self-worth as well.
It's a really hard one, actually. That's something which, when I'm speaking to people, comes up a lot around that, the challenge of valuing yourself and going, actually, no, I am worth this. And if somebody isn't willing to pay, that's their issue, not mine. I am worth this. And it is really hard to have that self-belief. And as you say, £150, which if somebody looked at it might go, oh, £150 for that, that's great. But if it took you 6 weeks to make it and you were remaking it, it's suddenly like, hang on a second.
You're like, how much is this per? Oh, hang on. And, lots of people would come to me and go, well, I can get something similar from Marks and Spencer's, similar size for whatever, £80. So why should I buy from you? And it, I didn't have the confidence or anything like that to say, this is unique. It's been made just for you. It's very different. It's not mass produced. It's, and it's something that I'm communicating with you directly for your big day. That's all, whatever. very special. That's what I was going to say, whatever for. So yeah, and it was at that point that I started doing self-development on confidence and self-development on what you're worth and all those things, which ultimately led me down a much more fabulous path of life than just working for what other people wanted to pay me.
Yes, and actually stating, no, this is what it's worth.
Yeah, like you just said, it's like this is what I'm worth. And if somebody says to you, like you just said, if somebody says, no, I don't think it's worth that, then you're just like, well, you're not my target market. These people will happily pay this much and more. And some people will go, why is it so cheap? It's like I had a lady come to try the Model KT bag because I met her networking. She tried out 3 different colors. She came around to the house and she was just like, I can't believe how you managed to sell these for only £400 when they're as good quality as my Mulberry bags that I have, and they're 3 times the price. And she was like, I actually want to buy all 3 colors, but I'm only going to buy 1 because I have so many bags. But she even tried her laptop in it and it didn't fit. Her laptop was too big, but she's like, but I want it because it's such a bargain. And there's it's those different levels. But yeah, if you can find speak to the right people and you don't have to worry about price and things. And I learned that early on, which was good.
So do you feel with the heads of feathers and when you got to the point where KT challenged you about why were you building up something which your heart wasn't in and focusing on the handbags, do you think that you'd already learned a lot of the lessons around valuing yourself and your time and the quality that you were bringing as well as the uniqueness, or did that learning continue with the handbags?
I had definitely started, but yeah, it's constant and continual learning. Even now I'm still doing a lot of work around just valuing yourself, valuing products, valuing opportunities. Gratitude is huge, just being, because I think you can achieve something and then that you've strived for, and then you forget to look back and you forget to be grateful for what's happened, because then you're like, old news. And then you can sit in this, and I did this for a couple of years. It's like I sat in this, I'm never achieving anything. I'm not getting anywhere. I'm never achieving the money that I want. I'm not achieving the recognition I want. I'm not doing this. And actually what was happening was I wasn't looking back. I wasn't going, I ticked off all of these huge things, but it always felt like I was striving for the next thing. So yes, looking back and gratitude, very important as well. But yeah, continual learning, definitely.
And did you, so I've done a little bit of design, and I'd started looking at, so basically taking my designs and putting them onto textiles, excuse me, and what that involved in terms of getting things made, because of the one thing that I knew from the outset was that I was not a maker. So I wasn't going to be the person sewing a cushion or making a dress or anything like that. And it was a massive learning curve. And I didn't go very far. I reached the conclusion that it was something I want to do at a later date, that it is something that I like as a sideline, and I want it to be pleasurable, not to be all consuming for me. But I know just from going through that, how, I can remember going into a meeting with a company that does manufacturing of cushions and just saying to them, look, if I'm asking you a stupid question, please do not feel afraid of telling me that and explaining why, because nothing in my life has prepared me to be having this conversation with you. This is just a completely new area. So did you find that when you were going through that need to find manufacturers, to figure out how to sell enough to get to the minimum orders, and how challenging was all of that huge learning curve?
Yes. And you think it's going to be easy, and it's not easy. Like I said earlier, from the awards, the day of the awards in June, I had a huge pressure put on me so InStyle magazine was coming out on the 1st of September. So I had to, from the middle of June to September, I had to produce these bags. And bag, something as complex as that design, and it had to go through. It'd never even been a sample; it was just a drawing. I've sampled things since, and they take 18 months to design, develop, sample, and get ready for a production sample. And I had like two to 3 months, and I had to learn it as well, and make contact, and do all these things. And I was just like, I'm going to die. But it was at the same time, the awards website was selling this design, and my website, I'd set that up to sell the design. So the sales were coming in. And I was just like, I don't have a product for these people. So we didn't deliver in. So they said, well, don't worry, say it's a pre-order and they can be delivered by October. I think we delivered in the end in February. So even then, that's a short timescale. But it was insane. Yeah, it was just. And then because of all these pre-orders, I actually had to keep in really close contact with all of the customers and explain everything that was happening, explain that I was new, and so in part, I think out of 60 pre-orders or something, we lost maybe 10 because of this long wait. And a lot of people just said, I'm really sorry, I do kind of need the money back, whatever, it's fine. But that time with those people actually built this amazing strong customer base that believed so much in me, and they knew that I was going to do anything I could to help them and to get them their bags, that they're still customers now, and they're still, everything new that comes out, they're like, oh, what's happening now? Tell us a story. And again, it's one of those things, it's so hard, but actually turned into a better opportunity for me. When I was saying, I can't find a manufacturer, I can't find anyone that'll do it this quick, an expert over in New York was like, right, we'll find someone, we'll just send them to Mexico, we'll have 30 made and we'll get the blah, blah, blah. And they were like, it doesn't matter about the design, doesn't matter about the hardware. I was like, it does, it's my brand. But even there, they were saying, we can't do them in that short time scale. So you've got time scales, minimum orders. I bet you had that as well with the meeting. But yeah, and the thing you just said as well, which is interesting about going in and saying, I don't know anything about this. Please just help me. I'm brand new. I had a very similar conversation yesterday with my business coach. I was like, right, we're going for investment at the moment. I'm on this side where I'm like, I don't know anything about investment. And there's people already saying, we want to invest in you. And I was like, just tell me all of the stupid things that I could do. And let's try and avoid those. What do I need to read? How much do I need to learn so that I don't, like you said, there are no stupid questions, because I am at the moment investment stupid, if that makes sense.
And it does. And it's having, I think, the bravery for you to say to him, actually, I don't know about this, and I'm not going to worry about trying to put up, on a show that says I do. I'm actually telling you, I want you to tell me what it is I need to know so that I make the best decision I can for my business and myself. And I think, in that situation, it's really brave, because it would be so easy to just try and for you to, be trying to put up the facade of, oh no, I know all about this and it's all good and I'll just sign on the dotted line. And then
I'm ready. I am. Let's do it. Yes, I'll just make it, because I have done my fair share of, screw it, let's do it. Let's just say yes and work it out on the way. And that's kind of, I'll still be approaching it like that, but I have confidants that can give me it's like, don't go out and say this, go out and say this. And then what's the next stage? Okay, go out and say this. Okay, read about this, do this, and not overwhelm myself by saying I have to learn everything now. But it's like, what do I need to learn to get the first step? And that's kind of where I am at the moment with that as well.
Which is really exciting, though, as well, to be
very exciting
to get investment.
Yeah.
So why don't we talk a little bit about, so when I got in touch with you initially around the podcast was back, I think in kind of May, June time, and you had just, there were various things going on in your life, but you had also just, I think, been announced as a finalist again for the independent handbag designs again in New York.
Awards, yes, that's right, yes.
So that was all about to happen. So what happened after that, that making it to the finalist stage?
So, yes, so I entered a couple of designs actually in this year's awards. The bag that was a finalist was for a new company called Taja Coconut Water. And they strangely they wanted a handbag as part of their launch strategy. So I designed this yoga bag with them. Again, a sketch. They absolutely loved the idea, won the award, hurrah! And I'm now working. Yeah, well, thank you very much. So now I've got three lovely glass awards from them, which is very beautiful on the mantelpiece. So I am now working with that company, and we're making 500 of those bags for their launch campaign, which is crazily exciting. So they're not selling them. They're going to send them out to influencers and celebrities and things like this to launch their new brands. So I'm learning a lot about big launches from them. Mm-hmm. I'm also going to get my name out, in their marketing and stuff with, I was the designer of this. It's never a bad thing to be connected with something that's out to lots of celebrities and influencers and all that kind of thing. So that was all happening. Going to New York, doing these things. At the same time, the business was costing me so much money because we're developing a new collection as well, and there's delays on that collection. So it was meant to launch last October. There's been delay after delay after delay with all these different moving parts that have not quite fitted together. So I didn't have anything new to launch or to sell. So my finances went down. My husband and I had to move out of our, we're basically not living in a home. No, we're not living in a home, like an old people's home. No, we don't have our own home because we moved out to save this money. And we're house sitting to help other people that are on holiday looking after their pets. And we were like, well, we'll do this for a short amount of time. We got an amazing 3-month-long one, and so it's not too much moving around. But May time, when everything happened, it got extremely stressful because we had a couple of short ones, and it was very living out of a suitcase, trying to plan awards, trying to get the new collection launched, no money coming in, and I just got to the point where I was like, I think I'm going to have a nervous breakdown. And I was like, I'm going to have to be honest with my customers, with everybody. And I put a post on my Facebook page just saying, this is what's happening. I want to be honest with you. At the moment, I'm sort of homeless. This is the flip side of all that glamour, all of that standing on a stage in front of people. This is what's happening. Definitely it's a mindset thing because I'm still house sitting. I don't consider myself homeless at the moment. Things have turned around. That post was almost, I think, a turning point because I was like, I need to just be more me and more honest. And I think that when people are more themselves and more honest in business, they have a lot more fun. And so from that near breakdown, you got in touch. So now I'm here talking to you. I took a full week off, unplugged from everything. I put all of my apps on my phone into a folder on my phone that said digital detox, do not open. An entire week. I still wasn't fixed after that week, but my husband Ben got back to work in the business. I had another week of just doing very slow things. And then things started to turn around. It was taking that time out. I was like, I'm going to have to close everything down. Oh, now I not have to go to close everything down. And now we're talking to investors, and now we're talking to magazines, and now we're talking, it's choosing whether to hang in there or to give everything up. I think that was the big thing. And what I actually did was I said, after the 2 weeks, I said to myself, I'm closing it down. And I literally, it felt like my wings that had been clipped grew back again. And just knowing that that was an option rebuilt me. And I rose from that. And then I was like, I don't want to give this up. I'm staying. I'm going to be more me, and we're staying. And we've done a week of Facebook Live sales, which is me in front, for an hour every time. And it was just a crazy idea that came to me one day. I was like, let's do it, let's try it. And the customers have loved it. The sales are moving again, everything's happy again. So I don't even remember what you asked me then, but I talked for a long time.
No,
I apologize.
Because I think that bit of where it was all becoming too much. And as you said, one side of it was, I'm off to New York. I'm, been nominated for this award. And then the reality that's sitting behind that, which is the fact that actually we've moved out of our house. Money's really tight. There's a lot of delays. And life is actually feeling pretty rubbish in reality, that this high is just a little high and everything else is way down. And I taking that time out for yourself, even though it might have felt it must have been hard to do, because I know, there's part of your brain which is going, I can't just stop because it's all falling to pieces. If I just stop, it's going to go. But then
definitely. And that's the moment where you're just like, well, I can't stop because I've got to make some money. Yeah. Sorry, I stopped you halfway through.
No, that's absolutely fine. And it's that pressure of I've just got to keep going. But sometimes by stopping and then by giving yourself permission to say, I'm not going to do this anymore, it's weird, actually, because it's almost counterintuitive where it's like you said, I'm not going to do it. And then that frees you to remember what you liked about it, what you loved about it, and what you want to do. And to change your mind and to not be tied to that, no, we're going to wind it up. So I think it's amazing that you took the time and that you gave yourself that opportunity to walk away, but then realize that wasn't what you wanted to do. So, and how did you get to, so one of the things you said to me was that you've come back, thinking about this and trying to turn it into a direction that is just more you. And so I'm just interested in, what do you mean by the more you? What do you feel is shifted in terms of the business itself and your approach to it that's you?
So the brand focus before my change, I mean, a lot of people won't notice a difference. It's I think it is a lot of mindset stuff. We're working on new brand voice and all those kind of things, and it'll be quite similar. Before, it was very much about working women, empowerment, confidence in the workplace. I spoke to a few friends and they're like, you're so enthusiastic about everything. But
you are.
I have enthusiasm.
Just
a little. All my friends were saying, you're so very enthusiastic about everything that you do, and it feels like you're being taken down this more serious corporate route, and yes, I adore women that are going for their dreams in corporate land and in business land, entrepreneurial land, but the brand isn't a corporate kind of brand. It's more the confidence. So that our customers even say that they use their Jennifer Hamley bag as this totem of confidence. They go into interviews, they go into these places where they'd normally, like networking, where they'd feel a bit, oh, I'm a bit nervous, but because of that community, they're like, I've got my bag, I know where everything is, I feel good, I'm confident. That's my little totem. I've got it. I can be me. And so that was very much part of the brand already. But it's the enthusiasm side of things, the fun and the enthusiasm. So we're not just going to be doing work bags now. It's going to be, and this is the change. The brand voice is just going to change a bit more enthusiastic and fun, and still that totem of confidence, still cheerleading these fabulous, amazing, kick-ass women that are just, taking over the world and making massive changes and raising children at the same time and blowing my mind and everybody else's minds. So yeah, that's where things are headed. So outside, maybe not so much of a big change, but definitely that's where it feels more me. And that's from asking customers and my friends, what is it that you associate me with? And they were like, well, not corporate, not an office block, enthusiasm instead. I love your laugh. It's so good. Oh, I don't. Oh, it's the giggly laughter podcast. I love it. We should change it to that laughter therapy podcast.
That's right. I'd have to have you on every week, though.
Okay.
So, do you feel that it is, so, and you did say this, but it is about allowing yourself to be you rather than going, actually, I'm going down this road and I've now got to be more professional. I don't mean it that way, but more restrained, kind of holding myself in to fit in, that you're going, no, actually, this is me and this is what I'm like, and take it or leave it.
Fighting to get out. And it's like, sensible and professional and all these things. And, you have to be this. And I worked from Bali for 10 months of last year, running the brand. And I had advice from a very well-meaning, lovely, lovely friend who just said, she works in corporate marketing. And she was like, well, you need to take yourself out of the brand. You need to not let people know that you're skiving in Bali. I was like, I'm working 1 million hours a day still, but I happen to be here. Again, we went over there because it was cheaper to live. It's a lovely lifestyle. You get to travel. You've got to do what you want to do. And, I tried to do that. And I think that was part of the not breakdown, but the implosion was I was trying to hide myself and be sensible and be this. And it's like, oh, it can only be me when I get home. And it just didn't work. It doesn't work. You try and squash it. It's too bouncy.
It's just going to come out somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And it pop out.
And as you say, that is, from her perspective, it was obvious advice that worked for her and worked in that environment. And
definitely. And I tried, I could see exactly what she was saying. And I was like, yes, we want to be a big brand. So we want to be, we don't, like, when you grow bigger, I can't be everywhere at the same time. So we have, and so we have to have this. Maybe it was my.
We were talking before we had our interesting freezing moment, which luckily did not involve us bursting into song about Frozen.
No. Oh, now you're talking.
We were talking about the advice you'd had, and that it was from somebody in a corporate environment, and how you fully understood what she was saying and what she meant, especially if your business was growing. So I don't know if you want to continue from there.
Yeah, her advice, I think, for a bigger brand was absolutely spot on. It was, you can't scale when there's just one person that's like, oh yeah, everything's me. But I was way too early on. And I actually spoke to another friend that did work in corporate marketing over in Bali. And she said she'd actually made the move to help smaller businesses as well. And she was like, the difference is so huge, that the gap between how you do both these things is so huge that that's actually quite bad advice for you. And it's really hard, because I think when you're starting out, or when you're in, I think probably any stage of your business, if you're taking advice from anyone, because you don't know, like when you went to the fabric printers and the cushion makers, and that you don't know what's good advice and what's bad advice, and what's you kind of have to keep getting advice, which can lead into procrastination, and you're just like, oh well, I'll just get more advice. Or you have to make a decision and jump and make your own mistakes. And unfortunately for me, I jumped and I made my own mistakes. Have I learned a lot of things? Yes, I've learned a lot of things about that. And I think this rebirth, this phoenix from the flames moment, feels so much better, because I've been through that. We said before, like, rock bottom. And then I went 7 stages down. It's like, oh my God, I don't even have a home. And then I was like, and I've got all these pre-orders, and that's been delayed, and there's that. I'm going to have to refund people, and now this manufacturer wants another £20,000. I'm like, but yeah. So yes, different advice, different people, but sometimes you just have to take whatever you can get.
Absolutely. And as you say, it's taking on and deciding whether that advice is right for you. And it's really hard, because sometimes the advice that somebody's giving you feels uncomfortable, and it's not because it's the wrong advice, it's because it's out of your comfort zone. But other times it's because it is the wrong advice for you, and knowing which one of those it is really difficult.
Yes, very difficult. And I think there is something in trusting the gut as well. There were certain things that when I had that advice, it just didn't sit right with me. And I did think, I watched all these different things, like Marie Forleo's great. She talks about it quite a bit. It's like, is this because it's out of your comfort zone, like you just said? Or is it because it's wrong? And just recognizing those very two different, does it make you shrink down, and is it horrible? Yeah, there's something that's definitely not in the mind, it's in your body, and you just have to, for me, I've had to start trusting myself more, and that's part of being more of myself in my business as well.
Yeah, and having faith in what you're doing. And I think there is a big move now as well, that more and more people are realizing to the need to build up their personal brand, and to say, actually, I'm not just the person behind the company. So somebody I interviewed the other week, who I'm not sure if he's going to be going out before or after your interview, but he's very much about saying, okay, well, I've built up this very successful company, but nobody knows who I am. And so he's now trying to step out from that and to build his brand. And if you think about it, that's what Richard Branson did as well. As Richard
definitely
Branson.
Yeah, we don't think about all of his failures, do we? We don't go, oh, Virgin Cola was horrible. We just go, well, he gave that a go. He's the brand. He's, and when he brings out something new, you go, so it's going to have the same values, very similar sort of, customer service. It's going to have these things. Whereas I'm sure the guy that you spoke to, he was, he came probably out of that business that he built to such success, and then came out and went, let's start all over again. Whereas if you have that personal brand first, and that was one of the things when I decided to close everything down for that moment, for the week that I was like, yes, I'm stopping. I was like, well, my customers believe in me. I have good connections in the handbag, with the Handbag Designer Awards. Is there something I can do with my personal brand that I've learned that I can help others? And yeah, that was very empowering, that I'd kind of built this personal brand a little bit as well.
And there's something about recognizing, and I had this conversation with somebody yesterday, actually, about recognizing your own worth. And because it's very easy for us to look over and go, oh, but this person is, they're doing so much and they're so much better than me. And who am I to even think that I can bring any value to it? But it's remembering that actually, yeah, they might be up here, but you are still actually up above all of these other people who don't have the knowledge that you've got, don't have the experience, and that you can bring value to them. And having that belief can again be quite challenging, really.
Yeah, definitely. And it goes back to that kind of looking back. What have you achieved? What have you done already? How, what would I have wanted to know 3 years ago? Would I have wanted to meet me now, to just go, don't do this, make your own mistakes with this, but this part avoid, and do this, feed you along on certain good paths. And yeah,
it's all those learnings that build us as well, isn't it? So
definitely.
So Jen, we've talked about the fact that things did get rough, and that you actually a lot of challenges, both financially, in terms, especially with the delays to the latest line coming out, and the cost of that, the need to move out of your house to save money. How are you now trying to make sure that you do look after yourself as well, that you're able to hopefully, not get back to that point, and to keep some semblance of your well-being at the fore, in addition to building the business back up?
Yes. Those 2 weeks where I took the time off, I just did things for myself, and I reconnected with because on the run up to that, my business was everything. I was just like, even in my spare time, if I was ever on social media, it was because of the business. If I was ever, out meeting new people we moved down to Brighton, it's like, meet new people. It was always like a business networking, or it was doing this. And I meet the most amazing people. But if the brand was taken away, what would I actually be doing? There was nothing there anymore. So yeah, taking care of myself, and I've started reading novels again rather than just business books because I love business books and I love self-development stuff, but it can be a bit too much. So I've started reading stories and slowly reading business books and actually implementing, rather than plowing through them and just getting overwhelmed with all the information but not implementing anything, because then you've just got the knowledge but you've not done anything. So that's a whole other story of time wasting. But yeah, just reconnecting and making sure that I have time. Like, we're working in an amazing shared office. We're actually on the Entrepreneurs Accelerator program that's sponsored by NatWest. I say we, my husband works in the business as well. Okay. So there's set office hours there. So we get there for 9, we leave around 6 o'clock. And then when we get home, I mean, sometimes I'll be working the evening, but nothing like it was before. It's very important that we, if we work from the house, like we're doing the live sales still at the moment. So there's a lot of work from the house, but to get out in the evening and go and do something else and meet people that aren't business people. And yeah, it's just simple, tiny things. Taking a bath, whereas before I'd be like, I will have a fast shower because I've got emailing to do. So yeah, just recognizing that there's other things and I can enjoy other things. And if the business disappears, I've still got that essence of enjoyment.
There's still that part of your life which exists irrespective of the business.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
And how have you found, in terms of moving down to Brighton and having that commitment of being on the NatWest Entrepreneurs Acceleration? How have, from what you've said, it sounds positive, that it's giving you structure and it's helping you to reestablish the boundaries in your personal life as well as the work life. But have you found it challenging in other ways? Does it feel like some of your freedom is being curtailed, or is it still very much free but with freedom but with support? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I know what you mean. It's I think, again, that's a mindset thing. I think when I first joined, I was a bit like, because I was in this, but I didn't realize I was going towards the edge of this precipice. And I was just like, what have I just taken on? I've got all this extra advice, all these extra workshops and courses and things and meetings and this and that. And I was like, I allowed myself to suffer quite a bit with anxiety because of the overwhelm there. But now that I've come out of the other side and I'm listening to myself more, being more myself, the meetings and the coaching and everything is like, oh, well, what do I want? What do I want from the business that will make my life better? Did I want to just grow a massive brand because of the recognition, or do I want a lifestyle where I can travel and I can do these things? And there's parts of my life like house sitting. We love doing it because we love seeing new places. And yes, a lot of it's in the UK at the moment, but then you still get to see new places. So I have a bit of a nomadic soul. So, just seeing it that way rather than a bad thing, not homeless anymore. I'm an adventurer. I'm and the same with the accelerator. It's like, what can we learn today that's actually going to help reach that goal and that vision?
And I think that's a really good way of looking at it, and also looking at your nomadic, as you said, if you look at coming out of university and going off and living nomadically for the first 10 years, whatever it was, it does really show through that actually you do like going to different places. You do like experiencing things, and accepting that might not be what everybody else wants, but that doesn't mean that because that's what you want, that it's wrong or a failure or a negative in any way. It's just that you want something different to the other people.
Yeah, definitely. And even with the brand as it was, with just work bags and this working woman sort of focus. I was like, but I really like traveling, and sometimes do I have to pretend I'm not working from a co-working space somewhere, maybe in Barcelona or something? And I was like, with the rebirth, I was like, hang on, people that travel need bags, really nice bags that organize them because they work and travel, because that's what I do. It's like I've been squashing that out of, and recognizing those things about me that I can use as learning because I already live like that. And so,
exactly.
Yeah, I know there's a market because I'm here.
There's at least a market of one.
There's a market of one. I'll buy my things.
And where do you find your creativity comes from for designing the handbags? And also, I guess I'm interested in the fact that you've also started doing scarves, which is a different. It's more. I was going to say it's more visual, but they're both. So to my mind, a handbag is more visual. It's also practical, but it's also about touch.
Yes.
Sorry, if anybody could see me, I've got my hands moving as if I'm touching a handbag. Which I'm not.
She's touching, she's squeezing it. It's soft, it smells good.
And I love that. But there's that element which is kind of, it's multi-purpose, so it's got lots of different facets to it, whereas a scarf is much more about the visual impact of it. So yes, it's got the feel and how it touches and how you tie it and whatnot, but to me it feels like a different, I don't know, a different objective, a different design.
Yeah, it's kind of a different they on from the outside don't really come together so much. With my bag designs, especially the new things that are coming out now, well, actually no, it's always been kind of a thing. I like, and this might come from when I did furniture design, I like things that do more than things. So I'm bringing out most of the bags that do fit a laptop in at the moment. They're convertible, so they can be shoulder bags, a briefcase style. You pop them on your back, so if you are running through London and you've got a meeting, you're on the tube, or whatever, you want to spread that weight. But when you get to the office, you might want to look professional and carry it like a briefcase. If you're on you're flying somewhere, you want to be able to carry it different ways. And that's kind of, I've brought that into my scarf designs as well, because we've got, for example, a silk square, which has got, all the drawings are hand drawn by myself. So that's my creativity. I just wanted to do a bit more drawing and things. I think that was I was like, I've not been creative for ages. I've just been thinking about money. But yeah, so I did these hand drawn designs. But I also, in every scarf box, you get these 20 cards. They're about playing card size. And I worked with an illustrator, and it's 20 different ways to wear your scarf. So it shows you how to tie it. It shows you how to, you could use it as a bag strap, or you can use it as a shawl, or you can tie it in these beautiful ways to, around your neck or around your head. And I think having something that has more than one use, and that's kind of where that came from. I love colour as well. And often if you're buying a big bag for travel or for work, you might want to buy a darker colour so it goes with lots of different things. But if you've got a colourful scarf that you can tie onto there, okay. Then you can... Oh, I've got a little buzzy bee in my throat.
Anyway, that was Jen Hamley.
That was. I've just died. Live on the podcast. I died. Her last moments. She's talking about colour and scarves. So yeah, it's to add colour, make things more, customizable, and then die. Oh. I've got better now. I'm fine. I'm back from the dead.
That's good news.
That's good.
So they really come into supplementing your handbags in some way that you can actually, as you say, customize it, or it's easy, I guess, to tuck into your bag and know that you're going to be color coordinated if you just stick it onto your more plain dress that goes with everything.
Exactly, yeah. And it's and because the new collection because it's got 7 items, and to bring those out in extra colors to start with, I would have had to double every time I add a color. I have to double the amount. So say it's £50,000 to bring out this 7-piece collection, it would then be £100,000 to bring it out in red as well, or whatever. So I just wanted to bring it out in black, test the market. We got different colored hardware on them, so they do look different. But if you tie, a scarf onto your black bag that's pink, that goes with your pink outfit for the day, I know you interviewed Alice and Edgar. She would love the pink, of course. And then, then maybe she's going elsewhere. She might want something that's, contrasting to pink, or So there's those little things. So you only need the one bag that you can carry different ways, that you can always be organized. You don't have to move your things in and out, but then you can tie a scarf onto it, and you different accessory, tie it on the bag 17 different ways, and then you've got different looks, different things, all these different things. So it's kind of good extra value because you've got all these different looks.
No, which is absolutely true, because one of the things I have is I borrow a dog, and so I now have a bag that is my dog bag, because it's very practical, it's waterproof, it's got all of the things that you need when you're going to go out with a dog. And so I'm constantly changing back and forth between, when I don't have him, and a nicer handbag. But I lose things, I'll get somewhere and I'll think, oh shoot, I forgot to take that out of that one. So having something which you can just adjust in a different way. I'm not sure that your bags are necessarily the right ones for my dog bag. The yoga one might be.
Maybe.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I'll have a word with Woody.
See if he approves. I approve. Yes.
Yes. His main criteria is, does it have enough room for treats?
Yes, lots of pockets for treats. There you go.
There we go. Yeah. Sorted. New marketing line for you. But I think it is something that women do have, is that whenever you swap handbags, you're always, thinking, did I put everything in, or shoot, I've left that in the other one. So having that solution, which is giving you the variety, and in a nice way, in a pretty way, in a colorful way, and in a way that's expressing yourself as well.
Yeah, and the plan is also to bring out different strap options and different, like tassels and lovely things that you can, monogramming, things like that, so that you can personalize your bag as it is. And, during that time, that's when we'll work on investment and getting more colors out and doing all those things and bringing out the little accessories in different colors, wallets and things. Because it's always nice to pull a bright orange wallet out of your black bag, say, because you've got all that there.
I know. I was looking, I think it's your Secure purse.
Yep.
I was looking at that going, okay, kind of want that. Don't need it at all, but kind of want it. It's steel, it's gorgeous.
Well, Woody might have something to say about that, because my mum uses hers for when she walks my brother's dog and my sister's dog, because she says it's the perfect size just for some coins and some cards, and she'll just pop it in her dog walking coat pocket, and then she can get herself a little, treat she needs if she's out or something. So,
it might have a Woody seal of approval, which does count for a lot.
It might. And it's got 3 pockets in it, so they could fit some treats down one of the pockets.
Okay.
Woody will like it.
So with, we've talked about the investment and the regrowth. Well, where do you want to take it? Where do you see the investment taking you to in the next steps? So where do you want to go with the investment that's coming in? Where are you looking to take the business? What are the next steps for you?
So at the moment, we sell exclusively through online. We're on a couple of other online websites, and most sales come through my own website. So we do a lot of marketing around that, email marketing, getting a lot of people in through social media and that kind of thing. So big retail is kind of, we've spent a couple of years building this brand and getting this, so the next step is kind of getting this slight shift in the brand voice and the brand values and everything just nailed and perfect, and getting everybody behind that, and then approaching bigger retail and seeing if it's something that they're as excited as we are and our customers are. Getting influencers and celebrities to promote that as well. So that needs a little bit of money, so we can send them some things and see what they say, and getting some more reviews from more well-known people. So yeah.
Exciting times.
Yeah, definitely.
So just before we wrap up, Jen, is there any advice that you would want to give to somebody who is starting their own business, or who, whether it's in the design, that type of industry or not, but just something, from your experiences and what you've learned?
I would say definitely find a network of people that are doing similar things and at different stages. Look towards, I get quite a few emails from people that are just starting out, and they've found me and gone, oh, you were at the Handbag Designer Awards, you're a couple of years in, can you help me with this? And I'm super happy to help them. When I was starting out, the only people that I was looking towards were the bigger brands, and there's nobody there that you can get in at, and I didn't need their advice. I didn't need, where they were, they'd completely forgotten this beginning part, and so I did it the wrong way. Whereas the girls and the guys that are getting in touch with me, they're doing it right. They're asking for advice from somebody that's just a couple of years ahead. And I think if you offer somebody, say that, can I have half an hour of your time? I'll come with specific questions. We can grab a coffee. I'll pay. And then it just feels really nice. I really enjoy helping people. I don't make people buy me coffee. That sounded awful.
No, you make buy you tea.
Yes, buy me tea and a big glass of wine. and you get, when somebody approaches you like that with specific questions, you say yes, half an hour, of course. You end up talking for 2 hours because you like them, and they it's fine and it's all lovely and it's good. Whereas if somebody comes and bombards you and expects things, then you shut down a bit. But yeah, I'd say don't be shy to approach people. They could say no. They could ignore your email because they're busy, but generally it will be just because they're busy. And surround yourself with a network, definitely.
And that is excellent advice, because as we spoke about earlier, being in business for yourself can be very lonely and isolating. So having that support around you is very important.
Yeah, and there's so much free, like the NatWest Accelerator, or I had help in Bristol from a company called Brave and one called Outset, and they just help you with business plans and a little bit of free coaching, and there's so many out there. But and they come with their own little networks already, because sometimes you're just like, okay, yeah, I'll start a network. How do I start a network? Because to somebody that doesn't make any sense. It's like, okay, you told me to do something I don't know how to do. So just ask around, and there's plenty of startup-y sort of help and advice. And number one, be yourself. I've learned that. Took me 3 years, but
now you're there.
Be yourself. Yes, don't squash your enthusiasm. There's enough people out there that want to try and do that for you. So just be yourself.
That is really wonderful, Jen. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. And I look forward to seeing how things start to evolve for you now as you're moving forward with your new rebirth and investment and everything else that's happening.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been so lovely to talk to you. And I've been listening to a couple of your podcast episodes and very much enjoying them. So I'm very excited to be part of that.
And I'm so excited that you were able to make it. I've been really looking forward to talking to you. So
and it's good that I got to talk to you now rather than 2 months ago when I was maybe in the middle of the implosion.
Exactly. So these things work out, don't they?
Yes, they do. They definitely do.
So I will put, for anybody who wants to know more about Jen and her handbags and the scarves, I will put links on to my website as well as onto the show notes for the podcast, so you can check it all out. And I have to say that some of the colors as well are just gorgeous.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, yeah. I do love colour. I dye the scarves. I hand dye the scarves myself, so I go back into creation mode. Just it's like a meditation for me. And I try using gloves, but they break, and then I'm covered in dye, and there's all these different colours, and it washes out after a couple of days. But that's the not so very New York Awards side of it. But I love that side of it. So,
of the colourful Jen.
I will share next time I get some pictures.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much too.
I've been in conversation with Jennifer Hamley of Jenifer Hamley, England. You can find her handbags at jeniferhamley.com. All of her details will be available in the show notes and also on the website at bridgeroadconsultants.com/podcast. Coming up in just a moment is a brief interview with Jordan Bucknell of Upbeat Agency, who gives us some advice on how to get started with advertising on Facebook when you're on a really low budget. Podcasts are really on the up at the moment. There's a whole new energy and vitality around the whole world of audio. This makes it an ideal time to start your own podcast. The podcast launcher gets everything that you need in place and your podcast actually launched. Learn more about exactly what is included at launch.bridginggaps.uk. Hello, I'm here with Jordan Bucknell from Upbeat Agency, who's just given a presentation at the Lead Gen Summit. Jordan, your focus is all on Facebook and Instagram ads, and it would be really great if you could share just what somebody who's maybe starting out, doesn't have a lot of budget to put towards it, what they could maybe try themselves to just get moving.
Cool. There's a number of different things. I would say if they're just starting out, let's suppose they've got themselves a website and they want to get themselves going. The first thing I would say is when you build an ad account, Facebook will give you what's called the Facebook Pixel, which is basically a snippet of code that you can put on your website, similar to like a Google Analytics snippet of code, and that will allow you to track and understand the people that come to your website. So if I come to your website and I look at a product page, you can then build an audience of people that have been on that product page and then choose to show them ads. Yeah.
Okay.
I would say that because what we can do there is something that's called always on activity, which means that you should always have that remarketing ad on, but it requires that pixel in place to have it. The pixel is free, yeah, so it doesn't cost anything. And if you have a small amount of traffic, which you probably do when you're starting out, then of course your ad spend is going to be very low. You know, a few pounds a day. Yeah. So therefore, you can actually have a big impact because the people that are going to see the ad are going to be very relevant. So Facebook Pixel, one other one that I would say is you have the ability with your iPhone to create videos. So therefore, my advice would be video creation using your iPhone on things that you're passionate about with regards to your business, which you can share and turn into ads. Therefore, you have content creation at your fingertips.
Excellent. That is wonderful. Thank you very much. Bridging Gaps, the business podcast, was produced by Deborah Levitt of Bridge Road Consultants Limited, with original music provided by Pete Dineley.
You've been listening to Deborah Levitt on Bridging Gaps, the business podcast.